Hello, y'all. How y'all doing? About to clear the image right now. Awesome. Now I'll cue the timer. This thing is loud when it goes off too. Where's this thing at? How you doing, Logan and Agent Globehead? How you doing, Junior? Chillin'. Just want to talk about a few of the points that was covered. The Foucault's Pendulum and Felix Baumgartner Skydive. Oh no, he's not coming back. I just one of the things I like about doing this is we get to, at least I get to learn some stuff. So even though I may not learn something directly from them, I still learn about things. So for instance, I learned more detail about the skydive, learned more details about the pendulum. So I found a few articles, and now that I'll present to just illustrate some of those points. And if anybody wants to join, the meeting details are still the same. Oh, and did I update the chat? I don't think I updated the chat, did I? Let me update the chat real fast. But I won't be here long, just maybe like an hour or less, just to read over these articles real fast and talk about these points a bit. Let me update the chat real fast. But no, I don't think he'll. Well, I mean, he may pop up, but we didn't make an agreement for him to pop up. And that timer is still showing. Where's this timer at? There we go. So I'll check. I'll put this article into the Hangout. So the first thing is that Felix Baumgartner's skydive. So I was wondering, how exactly did they do that? I never really looked into it. So I was wondering, like, how did they get this guy uh, way up there like that? So I didn't even realize that they sent this dude up in a balloon. That's crazy. So let's check this out real fast. And where's my meetup thing? Let me see here. I don't know why I can't. Oh, that's why I can't move this thing. There we go. Yeah, that's true. Agent Globehead. It wasn't my debate, so I didn't want to say anything. But it's clear he was not capturing inertia. So he demonstrated, and I clarified with him that he was under the impression that something should leave from the surface of the Earth and then like stop, just for some reason, just stop moving. And at first he said, if you rewatch, at first he said it's because like I gave the example of a car when you throw a ball up inside a car, and he said it's because that's a closed system. So then I mentioned how I wasn't on those floats in New Orleans, and then he changed his answer and said it's because of the speed. So, you know, it's not really based on science. So, but it's clear he doesn't really understand inertia and the fact that if something lifts up from the ground, it doesn't just suddenly stop for no reason. It's not going to stop unless a force is acting upon it to make it stop. So, you know, hey, what's going on, Logan? How you doing? So yeah, but I mean that's really. But of course, uh, you know, I'm pretty sure he would say something like that's just made up. But one thing I found interesting, though, he mentioned calculations for Baumgartner's uh, landing. So you know, I'm sure you remember, Logan, whenever we talk about you know, like calculations for anything, basically, it's like, oh, this is math and math is fake. So it's quite interesting that he mentioned, yeah, but he mentioned calculations. He said he calculated where he was supposed to land. Now let me let you know here what's going on, Sean. Sean Hawkins just joined. Let me go ahead. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Well, to be fair, I've seen some models, but it's just they get debunked so quickly that they have to change it. They were, yeah. Hmm. Maybe they get something that might work for one particular thing temporarily. Like I remember, my understanding was when that guy first started showing me videos, linking me videos for flat Earth. They decided that the sun was like, I don't know what, like 30 miles wide and like 3,000 miles high to make it work for that stick experiment. But of course, it fails for a whole bunch of other things. But it seemed like they were on a higher horse until that thing was disproven. But yeah, it's just. But I'm interested to see though. I mean, personally, I don't believe that he did the calculations. But the fact is, I don't know. So he could have did the calculations. Obviously, it would have been wrong if he came up with the fact that the guy landed incorrectly when we have recordings that he landed right there. But I'm interested to see what he has to say. So hopefully Sean will come next week and he'll have some calculations of why he should have landed there or whatever. But I'm pretty sure he would just, if he did do calculations, I'm pretty sure he just would not have accounted for certain things. But I'm interested to see. I was talking about the debate next week. Y'all gonna be talking about the skydive, and he's supposed to bring some calculations of why he didn't. The guy should have landed in the ocean or something instead of where he landed. Well, I'm a. Mm, I mean, I mean, perhaps you could even just make him justify his position, because I was asking him questions, yeah, I, but I mean, I didn't realize till later because I have to remember not to assume these people are having an honest conversation. I just assume like I'm talking to a regular person, and I think when I asked him that question about you know how did you figure this out or whatever, and he started asking about what general people say. I think because he was trying to avoid having to say that he didn't know, which is a common thing they do. Like they talk about grouping them into groups, but the fact is they all do the same thing. I mean, we all observe it. So, but we'll see. I'm interested to see. I mean, and you know, look, this guy. Let's take a look at this jump. I was already interested in. Oh, and let me look at the comments really fast before I move to what this guy did on his jump. Yeah, the whole panel gave him some good lessons. Yeah, but I'm sure he said himself though nothing we tell him is going to change his mind. So, hey, yeah, he did flip around, Junior. He at first it was the closed frame like when you're in the car, but then when I gave the example of the car, I was on a float, it didn't have a roof. Then it changed to the speed where you're going on a slow speed. That's why it didn't fly back. So, but of course we know you're on an airplane. It works the same exact way, and the speed doesn't matter as long as you start in that same speed and you're matching the speed. Yeah, understand what I've had to learn from it. Yep, I learned some stuff as well, Agent Globehead. So always some good stuff to learn, either what to do and what not to do. Yeah, but it's okay. I don't mind. I think it's enough when it dies like that to just let people thinking people see them judging. I mean, I noticed that Red Pill was in here and Meese was in here, and it was like, yeah, they was like thinking that he won or something like that. It seemed like. But I believe that if somebody is a thinking person, maybe they're on the fence. I'm pretty sure they will see that. Hopefully, but if not, well, I'm not really making a big deal out of it anymore because they can't. People want to be ignorant. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Of course, they always call us biased. It's so interesting. I agree. They always claim, they always judge us for doing. Like it trips me out when they all say, these Globers, they just listen to what the science saying and what the church says in religion, and they just parroting with the. I saw this one video where the guy, it was like a, Well, I mean, not even that. It's like, but you ask them for proof and evidence so often. It's like I saw this YouTube video, right? But I saw this one time where the people did an experiment right in front of their face. It was like on this Discovery Channel, and they like went out way into this long lake or something and had a sign with horizontal lines to show that the lines were being blocked by the curvature of the water. And even after that, they said you're just telling niggas what you paid those experts to tell you. And I'm like, the dude just literally did an experiment right in front of your face, and they're parroting that same thing. Oh my gosh, it's crazy, man. But cool. Interesting thing about this thing, this guy actually went up in the balloon, man. So it says, what's this diagram here? So they actually lost in balloon carrying this guy with this space um, capsule looking thing like it's something out of the space missions. So it took him 3 hours to get to space, 36,000 meters. Then he depressurized the cabin and jumps out. You see, exactly. So I'm pretty sure that if he did do calculations, I'm pretty sure that's what he didn't account for because he said himself, his understanding is once you leave the surface of the earth for so long, you just stop, like you lose the momentum you had with the earth. But he couldn't explain why or how, but some reason. So if you did do calculations, I'm sure it'd be based upon the earth still moving away from you, you know what I mean? But you are correct. So obviously the balloon and everything was just going around with the earth. And then he jumped, he still had that lateral momentum. Pretty sure it slowed a bit because of wind resistance, right? The air doesn't, it's not a exact one to one, but it's not going to be I'm sure, pretty sure at the most, like how much speed would you say he lost? Like let's say by the time he got to 36,000 meters, 3 hours, floating up in a balloon. There's no more force pushing him along. Of course, the air is sort of carrying him along, but the air is not going as fast as the Earth. It's dragging behind a little bit. How much speed would you say he lost laterally by the time he got to the highest altitude, would you say? Can't be much. I mean, when he landed, he was in the same general area. I mean, they was able to meet him when he landed and film him when he was going down, but pretty sure there's a way to calculate exactly how much lateral speed he lost, but it's probably still negligible. Uh, yeah, yeah. So he reached the first record, the highest manned balloon flight before him was 34,668 meters. He went up to 30. He was expected to go to 36,000 meters. Looks like this was written before he went, but it's still I like the illustration. So. hmm I find it interesting. Yeah, but I find it interesting though that he was pointing out the details and the curvature in the side windows, but he didn't want to talk about it. But I don't know. I noticed they pick out details that they like, but exclude things they don't like. Like he didn't mind calculating for the Earth, the globe Earth position when he was talking about the Earth should be going behind, leaving us behind. When I asked him to put why does it just stop according to the Earth globe model? Oh, it doesn't move. Then he like changes models real fast when it's like right when he doesn't have an answer. But he's like, you know what I mean? This fits what I believe. So the Earth would be moving, and I calculated the skydive, and the dude would be way in the ocean. He's fine talking about it then, but why does it lose the momentum? Oh, well, it doesn't move. Let's go back to the stationary model. But I do believe this is very cool though. And look at this, man. His parachute, and just like you was talking about, by the way, Sean. He What does it say? It ah, phase five, free fall duration nearly 6 minutes. Eventually, air resistance slows him down, so the terminal velocity would change according to your how far you're away from the surface because the increase in air pressure would be more resistance to the fall. So I always thought that was quite interesting because I remember when I was a kid, I thought that I assumed that let's say if you went very 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 far away and you fell towards the earth, you would just keep falling fast and fast and fast and fast and faster. Then I thought, wow, you'd be falling at the speed of infinity. But the fact is, according to the mass of an object, it only has so much of a gravitational pull. So even if there was no atmosphere, you'd only be able to go so fast. Do y'all agree with that? So I always thought that was quite interesting. So like if you was able to, well, I mean, even with that, I mean, if you could imagine that you could, yeah, like with no atmosphere and no, if you just some kind of way was able to devise this thing where you have a gravitational pull the size of the Earth, and you're able to put the maximum sort of max of gravitational pull on you with an infinite amount of time to go, you would only go so fast, and then you won't be able to go any faster because there would be no pull pulling you faster. So I thought that was pretty. I think that's pretty cool. Let's see what they're saying in the chats. Playing Red Pill, shut up too, didn't he? Ah, I think he was still saying he could. Red Pill was saying, I believe he was saying how he would dominate you in the debate or something, right, Sean? So yeah, he was still talking, but maybe he avoided the point, but he was still talking. Yeah, yeah, but I tried to get him on before, and I don't remember the reason he gave, but I emailed him and he emailed back, but I don't remember exactly what he said. I could pull it up and check and see, but that's what he said. Yeah, yeah. There are rumors that he doesn't really believe in the flat Earth and just really only does it for money. I don't know how true it is, but I've heard that rumor before a few times. Yeah, he's dying down. Hmm. I heard he was part of that. I'm not sure how true it is though, but it's interesting. Interesting. So sad. Well, like I said, I interacted with him a few times, and he didn't seem to be mean to me. But of course, somebody could be racist and keep it in check when need be. But it's sad people could be so ignorant as to be racist. I mean, people talk about how there's different species and stuff. Yeah, but we could procreate together, so obviously we're the same species. Yeah, exactly. I agree. That's my finding as well. It all comes from fear, but I don't know what the fear might be. But cool. Supersonic speed and free fall. It says he reached the current record was 614. He expected to reach 690 miles per hour free fall in just over 5 seconds. Excuse me, 5 minutes. 5 minutes and 35 seconds. Never. Let's see. Suit. Interesting. So it does actually. Spacewalking at the speed of sound. It says Baumgartner's suit is essentially a highly ruggedized spacesuit. 8 pounds of composite material provide him with a 3 psi environment for his entire trip down and protection from extreme temperatures he'll experience. He doesn't need to try to breathe 3 psi air as to supervise him with pure oxygen. Interesting. Doesn't necessarily say the materials, but it just says it's highly rugged, so it seems like it's a bit more solidly built than the actual spacesuit on the outside, because of course in space you don't need the word. I don't know. Yeah, I saw him on the chat saying some things. Now, this Fox pendulum, I actually found this pretty interesting. I read this a little bit. It says on February 3rd, 1851. So this is one thing that trips me out. So we're still debating things that's centuries old. I mean, it's so sad, man. It's really sad. Um, Yeah. Hmm. But you had a great question though. Yeah. I know. Well, I think it ceased to amaze me now. I just at first I didn't really think people could be so stupid or ignorant. But you asked them a good question though. You asked them, didn't you ask them, how do you think you know better than all these scientists and especially. Hmm. Who's up?
And Michel Foucault.
No, no, I did not. And
Okay,
sorry, I didn't have him. I didn't have them unglued there. I'm sorry. So they can hear
Anthony
you now.
Riley. Anthony Riley was going to debunk the Foucault's pendulum and the guy that invented it.
Are you
So he
serious?
did it for Foucault, Foucault, and he picked the first one that came up.
Hmm.
Paul Michel Foucault, October 1926 to June 84 is his lifespan. Died of AIDS. He was a professor or something in France, and has absolutely nothing to do with the Foucault that invented the pendulum.
Yeah,
Okay.
And he made
what a
a video
genius.
saying, "Look at this! It doesn't even say anything about pendulum anywhere in the article."
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's Riley,
I
Yeah,
could
it's just
I could
the
see
man
it,
who
man.
didn't know the angles of an equilateral triangle.
Dude, he's the guy who you heard of. Y'all saw it and heard it earlier. He's the guy who thinks because he shows you on the cover of a book that it says there's some stellar object that
Yeah,
nobody in history has ever seen ever.
yeah,
That because it says on the cover of the book, we supposed to accept it now.
Black
So
Lilith Moon.
yeah, so obviously this dude, his logic and reasoning is
See,
shot.
I grew up around complete hippies and feminists, and yeah, that I recognize that.
It's sad, man. But uh, to Logan's point, I actually tried that yourself because I totally understand your logic, and to me, it almost seems disrespectful. When they try to disregard the work of these great scientists who spent their
yeah,
lives, you know.
yeah.
Eh,
It's fucking offensive, and
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough to know some pretty fucking intelligent people
Hmm.
offline and online, but I mean mainly offline. But it's just like you're gonna fucking just say like their gifts are just horseshit.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
not even gifts. They put in effort. Like one.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, of course they work, but I'm just saying, I'm more of like people are mainly born with, exceptional, you know, people that are like highly exceptional. That's like genetic,
Okay,
and they're
okay.
just really lucky. But I could, that's up for debate, of
No,
course.
I can see that. Like I believe it was Mozart was like making like symphonies at 10 or something like that. Yeah, I can certainly see what you mean.
Yeah, it's just fucking insulting. I mean, yeah, you can go philosophical and be like, blah, blah, blah. How do you know this? I mean, I don't believe in anything like 100% certainty. I mean, that's my personal, and I have some weird ideas, but I would never say like, yeah, this is how it is.
You know what
Just
though?
like how sure they fucking are about like, oh, the Earth doesn't move because I don't feel it. Like, give me a fucking break, dude. Like we explained to you like a million times, you know, that air molecules are moving with the fucking Earth, just as you are.
It's crazy, man. I
I
mean,
don't know.
I mean, I could be in my car driving down the interstate. If the road is smooth, I don't feel myself moving.
Yeah.
It could even be disorienting when I look at a car to the side of me and you can see the wheels going really fast, but it looks like the car's just sitting next to you, right? So when I talked to Fight the Deception and um who was it, Scotty Storm, about this. I said, look, I said, like I'm sure you've seen the videos where they take a video of a telescopic picture of a star, and it looks like obviously the telescope is out of focus, but they're saying like, stars, this is what they really are. They're like some kind of plasma thing with a hole in the middle. This is obviously they're lying to us, and they think this stuff must be CGI because this is what I see firsthand, right? They got like a
Yep.
cell phone or something like that, or a telescope that they're too stupid to utilize properly, and so I said, look, I said, this lady, she studied thousands of stars through large aperture telescopes, and so and she discovered things about it. She everybody thought stars were made of something else, and she found out it was made of hydrogen from studying them. So what do you have to say about this? She studied all these stars, and obviously she didn't just listen to people because she brought something new. She brought something that society was against at the time, but they had to accept it because of the evidence. He still went to saying, "Oh, it's just the church people and they believe in people," and he came back later, the next day, saying she's connected to this other guy, and you got to look at who they connected to. So I don't think it matters, man. It's like
Jeez.
they just can't. And I don't remember Scotty Storm's exact answer. It was too long ago, but he said something similar, something like, this is just not real. They're just lying, and I asked him. I said, do you think they're lying, or do you think they're just wrong? And in the end, he seemed to say kind of both of them. Either they just listening to what they said and they're going along. Oh, and Montreal said that they have to toe the line because they have to get their paycheck. I don't know if y'all remember that conversation, if y'all was
Oh
there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So they got to do what they say because if they don't, they're gonna get fired. And they gotta. So it's craziness, man. It's just it's still that part is still unbelievable to me. So I certainly understand, but
I would
that's what.
love that paycheck. Yeah.
But they're talking about just their regular paycheck, like working at a
Yeah.
university. They're just regular paycheck. They have to toe the line or else they're gonna get fired. So generation after generation, scientists are just towing the line. And I'm looking in this telescope when I see this fuzzy, thing with a circle in the middle. But no, I gotta say it's the CGI thing because I'm gonna get fired. Like what in the world?
Anybody who says that does not understand the concept of tenure.
Hmm. But of
A
course, yeah.
professor with tenure could eat babies on the oval, and they'd say, "Hey, cool, use ketchup."
But of course, but I mean, it reminds me of in school with kids how they just do stupid stuff and just because everybody else is doing it, and you can look at them and see that all of them are afraid. And let's say they're trying to pick on somebody and seem hard, right? And you can look at them and see that every single one of them are afraid, but each of them is trying to keep up the rules to not seem afraid to everybody else. So, but that's like children in like middle school or something like that. So, but they
Yeah,
expect to,
that
huh?
that and the fucking arrogance, or the false sense of that they fucking know something that I don't know.
Without even doing any kind of like, and I try to
Yeah,
stress the fact that they study thousands of stars, thousands.
yeah.
So,
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I fucking growing up, like I was pretty arrogant. Thought I was fucking hot shit or whatever, and, intelligent. But as I grew older, I was like, fuck, man. I'm probably average at best compared to like some of these guys. And yeah, once I started talking to actual fucking people that have high IQs, I was like, fuck, man.
mm,
And the more I read, the more I understand that like fucking I know jack shit.
hmm yeah, man. The flat earthers gave me a greater respect for science because being into like astral travel and aliens and stuff like that, that's not a mainstream thing. So I was kind of against science before trying to like bring in a different thing. But seeing those guys, man, they gave me a greater respect for science and the fact that I do need to up my own game in my AP stuff and all that stuff. So I plan on doing more experiments and but definitely, man, it's crazy. But of course, SC Montreal dropped out of high school, so he doesn't really like I haven't graduated from college, but I took so many classes in college, and
Mm.
it's clear that they're not just the higher up you go, the less the professor seems to want to teach you. It seems like more and more you seem to be doing it on your own, sort of. So yeah, It's crazy. And Junior said he could not understand why a helicopter flies, since understanding is that the moment it lifts off, it's supposed to fire laterally because it's no longer touching the earth. Yeah, he believes, and I confirmed it. And he gave the example of throwing a rabbit, how it stops because the rabbit hits the earth. But so be it. But apparently, after so much time, maybe 5 seconds or 10 seconds, however long, it just loses the momentum it has, and then it should just like fly 1,000 miles to the left because the earth is still moving.
Also, I really think that a lot of these flat earthers just need to read. Read on the subject matter. Get off the internet,
Hmm.
buy a couple books on the subject matter, maybe even some textbooks, and you talk about having an open mind. We'll fucking have an open mind and actually read it. And if
Hmm.
you still come, if you still go like, no, it's bullshit, then I mean, then there's just no hope for you. I mean, in my opinion.
Hmm.
I'm like,
I don't think they're
but
ever
yeah,
gonna do that.
watching YouTube videos and quote mining Wikipedia, it's just not going to cut it, especially in this area.
That's right. I can't remember who I was talking to, but somebody was saying how we can't get to the equator because the Antarctica Treaty. And I asked them, I said, well, how do you know what the Antarctica Treaty says? Well, I saw this YouTube video on it. It's
Yeah,
like I think it takes too much attention span or something for these guys to actually go to the source and read something. And plus, I really believe, man, I have to believe that subconsciously they must know. Else it would be no problem going to the source. Like I don't understand. Like, um, what I can say, Rob Ski, but he did send up that balloon, and he did do this because at first he
yeah.
made this video saying, "Wow, they shot themselves in the foot," and matter of fact, let me show that because I believe it was really really funny. Like I made this video called Rob Skiba's budding proofs for the flat Earth, where I saw him send the balloon up, and then I saw him do the recording of the basically he did like a, do you know what I'm talking about, the two scale thing with the moon and the Earth? That's cool.
From
Hello,
where?
flat Earth
Oh.
believers. Give me a moment here. I'll show you because I think it's pretty hilarious. But I can say that he did do something real, so I respect that. And of course, when he did, he found out that the Earth was, at least that what the scientists said was true. Made a brief comedy. But this is a video that I have up there called Rob Skiba's accumulating proofs for the globe or for Earth's roundness or for the validity of our you know um, space programs. And
See, it was just God letting us see curve. That's all it was, man.
and
Yeah.
I forgot y'all can't. How were you doing that earlier, Sean? I remember when you was playing that video with the sniper, we was able to hear it. Like, how were you able to let us hear what you were playing through the presentation?
I just clicked present to all, and then chose entire window. I,
Are you using a headset or are you using like a open microphone, like a
just
desk
the
mic?
open mic on the laptop.
That's what it is. So your laptop mic was picking up your laptop speakers. That's what it
Oh,
is.
okay. Okay.
But that's okay. What I'll do, let me just give y'all the link with the timestamp, and then y'all can see it too, and I'll play it for the people at the stream. But it's pretty cool to see. I might click around a little bit for the stream people. Give me a moment here. Meet. Actually, wrong window. Mm, boom. Oh, I forgot the timestamp. I didn't copy it with the timestamp. One moment here. Copy. Let me make it one more time so y'all can have the direct timestamp. So this is what he's saying at first. The second Rob Skiba curvature proof is allied government. And since they leave, listen, Jack Village moving on. Regarding this,
The moment that NASA shot themselves in the foot, boom!
is a bit
Was
farther
just
actually.
recently when they put out that video showing
Try that second
the
link. That's more
Earth
accurate.
from about 1.5 million miles away, allegedly. Satellite over 1 million miles away, looking towards the Earth, and the moon goes in front of the Earth. If you haven't seen that, look it up. That one right there is the video that NASA's basically saying, you know what, we're throwing in the towel ourselves. We're full of crap and we know it, and we're just going to tell you, yep, we're full of crap. See if you can figure it out. But this is what really got me. The camera is about 1 million miles away, looking toward the Earth, and the moon comes between the camera and the Earth, and it's about 25%.
So right here, he's just swearing down that NASA shot themselves on the foot. There, it's crazy. He's like the Earth would be like super big. You won't be able to tell. But he actually gets a balloon, like a you know, one of those beach ball balloons, and
Pretty
like a little
much
baseball.
the same.
And this is what he sees. so so
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So he actually proved all the different satellites are accurate. Like the Earth picture, there it is right there. He proved that the picture of the Earth from the moon. He proved the Japanese Nagara Earthrise satellite. Yeah. So
Is Rob Skiba like on the list of like a lot of flat earthers as, you know, like a shill or something like that, a government?
I haven't heard that. I mean, he has a whole lot of followers, and he seems to be
They
an
haven't turned
expert.
on him yet.
Not yet, but I mean, but these are only two things. But I respect the fact that he came out and he said he was wrong. Because at first he came out and he made his declaration, and then he did the experiment later. But because he could have just as easily not shown the video. So to me, that tells me he's sincere. And the same thing when he sent up that balloon, he admitted, you know, that there's curvature. And that's his quote. The funniest thing is a flat earther saw the video and he commented, that's not Rob Skiba's voice. Oh my gosh. Let me show you. It was so funny. Where is that? Here it is. That isn't Rob's voice. I was like, oh my gosh, how, oh, it's amazing. But he could have just as easily not, you know, mentioned that at all. So I commend the fact that he came out and said, hey, I was wrong, and this is what I found, and I do see curve, and hey, I was wrong. That, you know, the perspective does match what they have in the satellites. So I thought that's pretty cool. But most flat earthers won't do that, though. They won't actually do any experiments at all. They'll just repeat what's in the YouTube video and then claim that they know. But that's one thing I would suggest that we all do is start to ask them questions and ask them to back up their claims. Because most debates I see, it's just both sides going back and forth saying, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm right, you're wrong. And the globe person usually is right, talking about inertia and science and stuff, but they're just like saying, this is what it is, this is what it is. And the flat earth person does not listen at all. And they say, no, this is what it is, this is what it is. But whenever I ask them for some evidence, then it falls apart pretty quickly. So I believe that we should spend more time because they're not going to listen anyway. And Montreal told us, he says, whatever y'all told me is not going to matter. So
Yeah.
we have to let him present evidence for his position, and then he'll find that he doesn't have any evidence. So when he comes with his formula next week, you know, whatever it is, I mean, it's clear he's going to be leaving some things out, most likely inertia. And so, yeah, and then it falls on his face. But where's my pendulum thing? Did I pull the pendulum thing up? You don't want me here. Let me find that video again. Anything y'all want to add on those things?
No. Only that the Freemasons run it all.
Uh-huh. But I mean, I could actually see that to a certain extent. But I'm pretty sure they're not. And that's the strange thing about it. Like 9/11, I did
Well,
research into that. That's actually a conspiracy.
well, that's where I'm gonna have to somewhat disagree with you.
Uh-oh.
But it's okay.
What's your disagreement with that?
Well, first, what's a conspiracy? Because there's different levels.
Well,
9/11.
so according to my research, the like there's this guy who wrote this book called Planes Without Pilots, I believe it was, and he talked about how the planes were actually drones, how the people who, like basically the plane that really had the people was diverted, and the drone was flown to that building. But of course I can't present any evidence of that, but that follows up with other sources I've read that I can't, that's not justifiable to you, but sources I accept. So when
Well, that is better than controlled demolition. I'll give you that.
well, no, the controlled demolition, I found that to be real as well. I saw several.
Wow. no,
a few
no,
documentaries on.
Daryl, no.
Yeah, I saw a few documentaries on it. There's actually an entire organization called Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, and they break down. I've seen them break down the fact of how the buildings are made. They actually made to survive that. People who were there, like there was a janitor in the building. He heard an explosion, explosions in the basement. People noticed pops going on along the sides of the building. And the way it falls, if you put the building side by side with a demolished building, it literally falls like free fall. Like if you look in, at least when I looked into it, the evidence matches a free fall. There's people who found a specific, a high grade thermite at the location, like a nanothermite, like not a thermite you could, it's like a higher level military grade thermite at the
Mm.
location. And pictures at the time show molten lava, like this molten metal. Like there's pictures from the time you could see. I remember this one particular picture had a beam at an angle, like cut at an angle, but it was molten at the end, as if something cut it so that the beam could slide down. And so things like that. So all of my research says that it was demolished with thermite, with a nanothermite that caused the structure of the building to be cut, and then it collapsed upon itself, just like any other demolition. And one of the documentaries I saw showed other buildings on fire around the world, and some of them were on fire for extremely long periods of time, never collapsed. But the only thing that collapse looks like is an actual demolished building. So
Mhm.
and so what but I mean you could look it into yourself. I mean it's not like it
No,
really matters anyway.
I mean, I've, I can't say I heard it all, but I've heard probably 99% of like all the ideas of what occurred, from fucking small nukes to all sorts of crazy ass shit.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just, the only thing that I could see maybe is that they knew that it was about to occur and they just let it happen to take advantage of it. But I don't even go that far. I just think it happened and they just took advantage of it because think about this, like you're the government, right?
Okay.
You want to get into the Middle East. You agree that's like why they did it, right?
Part of the reason, yes.
I mean, like the main reason. Main reason, go get the strategic oil reserves in Iraq.
A main reason, yes, I
And
agree.
yeah, why not? Because numbers do matter when it comes to this, like numbers of deaths. I think it's like 25,000 people per building that would work there.
Hmm.
Why not wait until both buildings are full, blow up the first building, just blow it up, and then the cameras come and all the helicopters and like, oh my god, what the fuck? And then blow up the second building and you kill, over 40,000, 50,000 people, right? And then that, like, that would be so much bigger than the original 9/11 that we would just go into the Middle East and take it over. Like, Saudi Arabia, guess what? Your country's ours now. Doesn't matter. We don't give a fuck. And we could say, like, yeah, they came from Saudi Arabia, they came from Iran as well. They make all sorts of horse shit, right? Shia, Sunni, they collaborated to attack us. So we just take over the fucking Middle East and we carpet bomb cities. I remember after 9/11, people were like, wouldn't give a fuck if we were to like nuke,
Hmm.
certain countries.
Yes, I
Imagine,
agree.
imagine if they killed 50 plus thousand Americans. It'd just be so much easier, dude, to just like, instead of like occupying, you just carpet bomb a city and kill the populace. There's no insurgency if you just flatten the city, kill everyone, which we can do. Because I was there in both Afghanistan and Iraq. It's just horseshit. Like we could win in weeks or less, but we can't do that because it's not World War II anymore. We can't just go around leveling cities like we did in Japan.
That's right.
Uh, yeah, because most people don't know that like we fucking firebombed cities, even in Germany as well, in Dresden. It, it's effective, but we can't do that type of shit because try to be above that, which I kind of agree with. We should not we shouldn't carpet bomb cities. But I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, what doesn't make
Why,
sense exactly?
why they wouldn't just go all out if the objective is to like get the strategic oil reserves. Granted, it is strategic, and I totally believe that's why we went into Iraq.
In other words, you're
Uh,
saying it's really just you're saying that they should have did more if it was a conspiracy.
yeah,
I, I,
why not make it a spectacle many times over
I
the
would say that
original?
would make sense if it didn't work. So in other words, like if it didn't work, like if the buildings were demolished and they couldn't go because there was not enough support, I think that would make sense. But the fact is, in my observation, it doesn't really matter what they do anyway. Like, it seems like they do enough to justify it on paper, but they was able to go and do what they wanted to do. It's not like they couldn't do what they wanted to do. They was able to go do what they wanted to do. And so, the fact is we're not going to do anything anyway. Just like how Bush was in office, and when he was elected, both times there was something fishy about his election. Nobody cared. I believe one time, I don't remember the details of it because I stopped paying attention, and I guess I didn't commit it to long-term memory. But something happened with both of Bush's elections, where from my observation at the time, clearly he shouldn't have been president. But people didn't care. The people who wanted him in there, of course, didn't care as long as their guy is in there, and other people didn't care enough to do anything about it. So I mean, it worked. I mean, they did what they wanted to do. So it's something like with me and with us debating stationary at Montreal. I could have jumped in and started talking about inertia and things like that, and trying to pin down whether an object should just stop for no reason just because something is not propelling it if there's no force physically stopping it. But I think we did enough. I mean, anybody looking, I mean, we all talking about it. Obviously, it didn't make any sense. So if you did enough, there's no need to go all out. So, and plus, my understanding is if you're going to have a, so if you look
No,
at,
I'm saying it's a lot easier, and you get more out of it if you would have just taken out both the buildings. Because I'm getting feedback.
I don't know who that's from. Try talking again. Oh, that's from
Hello.
Sean. He muted himself just now.
Okay.
It must have been his laptop mic. Go ahead.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, this is like an area that I'm actually really well read into as far as geopolitics, and I understand why America does certain things, like why they stayed in Vietnam and all this stuff. Shit that people don't know because not willing to. I understand, like they don't want to read, 700 fucking pages that book called the Pentagon Papers. It's all declassified.
Hmm.
Why is it declassified? Because people leak that shit because they're like appalled at what our government's doing. People in the government leak it.
Let,
Okay.
let me ask you
See
this: like,
this. See. If that were to happen, you're talking about like some sort of black ops team or special ops
mhm,
doing that. Like, you understand how fucking patriotic most of those guys are. Like,
yes.
they would never fucking kill their own citizens like that. It's just period. You'd have to like, I don't know. You'd have to get like psychopaths right off the street and then train them. It
Mm,
just, it just wouldn't work, man.
you may not have known. Like I've known a few military people, and they've told me
Yeah,
how
so have I.
some of their comrades were enjoyed killing people. So I mean, you must have heard those stories as well about some of the people in the military who enjoyed going out there to kill people. They're like they enjoyed it. They enjoyed it. So, um, but I've also met and or seen testimony from people who were very dedicated and they wanted to save the world. And there's some people who were dedicated and then saw what they were doing and stopped. Like for instance, who's that guy that's supposed to run for president in 2020? He was a he was a Marine, I believe. Um,
I don't know.
what is his name? He wrote this book called Freedom. Let me see. Let me try to find him. So I could.
Well, what I'm getting at is somebody's going to leak something. Somebody's going to have a conscience and go,
Exactly. That's
"Hey,"
that's that's why that's
and
part of the
they're
reason
going
why
to
we know.
leak, and they're going to leak everything. And it's not like these things like people think like, oh, this is off the books. Oh,
Oh,
that
yes,
that
yes.
that, that's just horse shit. Everything is fucking documented. Everything. It's just a matter of time before somebody leaks it. If it's appalling to them.
I
And
agree.
that's why you have your Edward Snowden. That's why you have your fucking Chelsea Manning. That's why you had Daniel Ellsberg. Blah blah blah, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I agree. I believe at some point, it'll be an established fact. Like it won't be uh, it'll be.
Well, I mean, yeah, if it was indeed some sort of op, yeah, there's going to be documentation to prove it was, but
Let me
I
ask
don't
you
think
this, by the
it's.
way. Like, so your understanding is it wasn't a conspiracy.
That's what I believe. It wasn't
How,
conspiracy. I believe at most, at like, and I don't even believe this happened, but like maybe they knew it was going to happen, and then the Cheney, Condoleezza Rice, and all that, they just took advantage of it. But I just fucking really doubt it.
well, that's a different story as far as the. But my according to what I read, they knew about it and they knew that some people wanted to do something and they did let them go about it so they could take advantage of that. But then they
Well,
deterred the planes and stuff. But
the
the main thing I wanted to get to though was Building 7. Like, how do you explain that Building 7 was reported as being down when it was in the video feed that it was still standing?
my understanding was huge pieces of the fucking World Trade Center hit that building,
No, I'm not talking
and
about. I'm not talking about it physically falling. I'm asking, how do you explain that? So I saw a video clip from I believe it was CNN, BBC or CNN. I think it was BBC, and they had a correspondent already in New York. I guess all of these big media companies have people around the world or whatever. And the correspondent was standing doing an interview in New York, and Building 7 was behind him. And then he reported that Building 7 had fallen. But you could see Building 7 behind him in the building. It didn't fall yet. And it took, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes more to fall. So how do you explain that he reported that the building fell when it hadn't fallen yet?
I don't know, man.
I'll see if I can find that clip. I'm pretty sure it's still on YouTube. And then in the other part of that, like you were saying about the building falling, that it seemed like some building pieces must have hit it from the other buildings.
Yeah, that's what the fucking people on the ground said happened, and they didn't go into it because of that because they thought it was going to collapse, and it
You
did.
see? And did you see how the building collapsed?
Yeah,
Right. So that is contrary to physics. That so the tall buildings are only on one side of the building 7, right?
yeah, but you saw how fucking World Trade Center fell.
Well, in other words, like the idea would be that pieces from this building hit that building, and somehow, even though it had local or partial damage, because you could see the building before it fell. I mean, you could see there's some fires up in there, but there's not any major damage to the outside of the building. And
No,
but
there
then it
was. It just you only got the one vantage point of it, man. That's the thing. You only get one scene
e-
from the
e-
other side. You
exactly
don't
that's
get to see. You don't get to see the giant piece of fucking World Trade Center that crashed into it.
in other words, it's like this: if I have a building and I destroy one half of it, there's no reason for the other half to pancake like a demolished building. Like it just simply when I saw engineers and demolition people explaining the way this stuff works, it goes against the laws of physics for a
Okay,
building to pancake like that if you
let's think
destroy a
about
part
it
of
a
it.
different way. Why would they want to take down World Trade Center 7? Why not? Why didn't they just fly a third fucking plane into that building since
Well,
they were operating drones? I mean, it just there's just it just wouldn't be this sloppy, man. Like that's what I'm trying to say. If they wanted a spectacle, it would be fucking huge, and then they would just have no worries, dude.
hey man. Well,
The Middle East wouldn't be like how it is right now. It would just be peaceful because guess what? They're all fucking dead because we killed them all after fucking 9/11 when we lost 50,000 Americans. It make fucking Pearl Harbor look like a goddamn joke. Look what we did after Pearl Harbor. We fucking killed millions of people after that. You know, we lost a few thousand, we killed millions.
It was gonna be
Imagine.
blue.
What's going on?
Should have did it bigger so they could get more bang for their buck to go overseas and do some damage, huh?
Yes, that would be way more logical than just, oh, let's get into an insurgency and just fucking up. And guess what? Like Iraq, that's like Iran's fucking country now. We lost it.
Okay.
It's mission failed. Well, why not? And it just doesn't make sense, dude. These people that like do these policies, they're pretty smart. Yeah, there was hubris in Iraq doing that. That was fucking stupid. But when it comes to like staying number one, our guys are pretty good at that. People that are in foreign policy and international relations, they're really good. There's a reason why America is still like the fucking most dominant country on earth. And it's going to remain that way for quite some time.
What's going on, Maxwell Smart? Do you have anything to add to the topic, Sean Hawkins?
No, not really.
Uh-oh.
I'm just listening.
Sean say you're not. You're against the topic, or you're just not interested in the topic, or don't like talking about conspiracies. What would you say?
Yeah, I'm stick to flat Earth mainly.
I got you. Fair enough.
So, isn't the story about Building 7 that somehow the generators in the basement, which run on diesel fuel, caught fire, and that's why it collapsed? I mean,
something in the building with diesel fuel in it caught fire.
That's what the story is.
Oh, you mean the official story?
Or at least one of them.
Okay.
I don't. But you know, there's other buildings that burned for over 48 hours and not collapsed.
Exactly.
So for Building 7 to just fall down like that, somebody took advantage of the situation and demolished the building and claimed insurance money on it.
Mm-hmm.
You follow the money, you can follow the corruption. It's that simple.
Yeah, I heard the. I can't really. That's the least thing I could justify is the insurance claim idea. But that's what I heard about the two tall buildings as well. That they had a lot of asbestos in there, and they had to either clear that out or tear it down. And instead, they demolished it and made off with a lot of money in insurance.
Yeah, not only that, but stocks. Airline stocks were sold out in mass volumes right before this happened. I mean, it just goes on and on. So, I don't know. Was it just a coincidence? They,
You starting to
sold out of
You starting to mechanical out.
Yeah, roboting on us, Maxwell.
crappy signal.
Oh, you sound better now though. What was that again?
No, it's just the coincidences of the whole thing. I mean, people that the conspiracy people, that come up with all this stuff or investigate and come up with discrepancies. They sure do come up with a lot of coincidences, and it's hard to believe the full story when it's like that.
So, Atheist Rex says, Maxwell, did you miss the part where they were struck by jumbo jets? And well, I'm glad through your thorough expertise in structural engineering and your comprehensive knowledge of the events that day, here to provide a level-headed account of the reality. So it seems like you're being sarcastic, Atheist Rex. Do you remember where Maxwell said he has a thorough expertise of structural engineering and a comprehensive knowledge of the events?
Does he remember where I said the Twin Towers? No, because I didn't. I was referring to Building 7.
But I would like him to go ahead and let us know where he got where you said when did he say he has a thorough expertise in structural engineering, and when did he say he has a comprehensive knowledge of the events? So please let us know at what time stamp or what did he say to that effect. One thing I read about Building 7. was that they demolished it to destroy the paperwork. Like apparently there was paper evidence in there that was like a paper trail, and they destroyed it to help destroy the paper trail. But
I don't know, but you know, the passport of one of the hijackers just miraculously appeared in the rubble, you know, unscathed.
yeah,
You know,
that
I
was
mean,
interesting. What do you say, Big
And,
Blue?
I'm going to go ahead and bounce, guys.
Oh, Sean said, "Up, we ain't talking about fed up no more. Let me go." Thanks, Sean. Still, I'm gonna make that. I'm gonna make the, I'm gonna make the event thing for next Saturday, and I'll make sure I give you the link.
Cool. Thanks.
All right.
Later, guys.
See you, Sean.
Were you gonna add something, Big Blue?
I don't know what I was thinking now.
I know, right? The derail.
Kind of just sitting here listening.
Certainly. So Atheist Rex, what did he say or what did he do that displayed that he thought he has an expertise in structural engineering and a comprehensive knowledge of the events? What did he say or do that put that on display exactly?
why don't you just get on chat?
Yeah, you want to get on chat? I notice you're not answering the question. This is what I was pointing about earlier. So he said a bunch of bullshit, bunch of nonsense. So you never ever said anything to the effect that you were expert in structural engineering or you have a comprehensive knowledge. You were just sharing your perspective. And you only talked for like about 2 minutes. But he came with this nonsense and sarcasm that's just a bunch of bullshit. So I'm asking him to back it up, and now he's talking about something else. The devil facing the debris, something you never mentioned. So, but this is a good example of how you handle flat earthers as well. When they talk about a bunch of nonsense, ask them to back it up, and it falls apart pretty quickly. So if you want to come on and back up your nonsense, Atheist Rex, please do so. But clearly he didn't say anything to that effect, and obviously you're not pointing out what he said. So maybe try shutting up if you don't have any evidence to back up or at least something.
Pig-headed conclusions. When did I ever say anything other than it sure is conspicuous that Building 7 fell? When did I ever say anything other than that?
Yes. So what exactly is pig-headed about what he said? What does that mean anyway? Oh, he's talking to Junior? No, you said Maxwell right there. The first comment he said was Maxwell. Did you miss the part where it got struck by jumbo jets? And then so seemed to me like he was talking to Maxwell because he called them out specifically.
Oh, now he's calling you out for saying the reporter reported it before it fell.
Well, my assumption would be, since I wasn't in the particular conversation, that it was planned and the timing was a bit off, and they told him to report it and he reported it. But I saw the video myself. I'm not telling you just something I heard or made up. I can't remember exactly which one it was on. It was either BBC or CNN. But the guy was standing right there reporting in the building with Building 7 behind him. And he said Building 7 fell, but you could see Building 7 right there behind him in the video. So I literally saw this myself, this report. I just did a search for it, and I can't find it now. But because it doesn't matter anyway. I mean, nobody's going to do anything about it anyway. But yeah, I saw it where it was reported on before it fell.
Crazy.
So I can only speculate of how that ended up happening. But I saw it happen.
I would love to see that.
That's weird.
I remember it being a guy. Like I found one right now with a woman there. Well, I saw one with a guy saying it. But here's one I found where it's saying a woman. But I don't remember seeing this one yet. I could just have my memory could be off, and it could have been a woman. But this is one if y'all want to look at it. It's saying a guy, but take that at your own word. I remember seeing a guy was reporting it.
I remember I was watching, I think, Fox when Building 7. Probably watching Fox most of the day But I know at least an hour beforehand they were talking about the collapse of 7 was imminent. They had already gotten all the firefighters and everybody out of there. They knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, because there's like 20 stories wrecked by the fucking debris that fell from the World Trade Center.
They knew it was coming down. It wasn't any question.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is he said it collapsed already. He specifically said it had collapsed. It already had collapsed. It was already falling, but the thing had not fallen yet.
Well, we are talking about news reporters for the most part.
Yeah,
They're only moderately more intelligent than a Chihuahua.
Yeah, they get shit wrong all the fucking time, especially when it's an ongoing event.
But the weird thing is,
It's possible
if he said that, he said it because he was fucking reading it off of his, script.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's
You
strange.
have to understand the news. They want to get the fucking story first. They want to be the first one to report it. So sometimes they fuck up because they just jump.
That shit's so fake. Even you can watch like the mainstream media, like CNN, MSNBC, CBS, all them guys, watch their news or their weather reporting. It's just so fake. Did you see that one where that guy was like pretending he was in, gale force winds and these two people
of
walked?
course. Of course.
I mean,
that's what it's about. It's about the spectacle. And that's
I see that crap on NBC or on nightly news every night with that David Murr and their weather guy. He's got this. It's just so fake. Their weather.
Yeah, of
they
course
never.
it's fake. Satellites are fake. All that shit's fake.
Well, no, I mean just their reporting. They're sitting or standing in some BS little studio at the green screen and some vision of something going on in the background, and they're pretending like they're out in it. Experiencing it, I mean, it's like,
or they'll go out
give me a break.
Go out on their patio. That's what they do where I live. If it's a threat of rain, one of the idiots will go stand out on the patio, hoping their hair will get wet or something. Like, I need to see a picture of somebody's fucking wet hair to believe it's raining. I can look out the window and tell it's raining. I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah, I can tell when it's going to rain by my chewing tobacco gets all clumped up.
I like it.
God, I wish I could have got on the other day when they were talking about the helicopter and the Earth spinning underneath it.
We had one of those today.
Or was that today?
Yeah.
SC Montreal was saying that how he was saying it with a balloon when a hot air balloon goes up into the air, the Earth should just fly underneath it. Like apparently he's under the impression that once it's off the ground for so long, it should just lose all this lateral speed and just be left by the Earth should just leave it behind.
Yeah. Did you see that video of that? I don't know if it was a tractor or a pickup truck pulling a trampoline, and the guy was jumping on the trampoline while they were going down the road, and he wasn't falling off of it. He was,
Yeah, I saw that. But yeah, I asked him to let us know how it loses that speed. He just said it does. But I think that's enough for anybody who's watching that he can't explain how it just loses that speed suddenly for no apparent reason.
It's all but impossible to try to talk to somebody that is that willfully ignorant.
I agree. But I mean, what can you do, man?
Well, I noticed in the chat though that there were a few in there popping off. Red pill for one.
Oh yeah. The diehard seems like they're just gonna believe him no matter what.
Yeah. And if you're listening, Red Pill, I'll say it again. I said it in the chat. Anytime you feel froggy, son, bring it on. In fact, let me put that in even stronger terms. You don't have a hair on your ass if you don't get on here and talk to me. How's that? There's a challenge for you, Red Pill.
Yeah, hope he comes on. But I remember now when I was thinking about it after the event, I tried to get him to debate Sean because I had something going on my channel one day, and I noticed Sean and I guess they just don't like each other because they was like going at each other, And I and them both afterwards. I was like, "Hey, Sean, you want to debate him?" He was like, "Cool." Sean was up for it right away. And I contacted Red Pill, and he was like, "Nah, I don't really want to do it. I don't remember his reasons why." But he seems to avoid, from my observation, debates.
And he gets killed every time he goes into one, I think.
But cool. What else on your mind? Anything else you want to discuss before I hop off?
Mm.
Yeah, Building 7, that link he put.
Oh,
I
somebody
was
put a
just
link.
reading it.
Somebody put a link in
I,
there just now. Oh, okay. Let me check it out. I'll share it
I've,
with everybody.
I've honestly not spent a whole lot of time looking into all the conspiracy theories that float around about Building 7, because I won't just take somebody's uh, YouTube word for
Large perimeter columns.
yeah. I don't know the extent of the structural damage. I didn't, like I say, I didn't read the structural or any of the
Well,
failure analysis.
what's crazy is that all the steel is immediately shipped to freaking China.
Yes, I thought that was extremely strange. I noticed that they
Well,
immediately they
They're-
shipped it out of country.
What are they
what
supposed to do with it?
what was all the stuff though about Kill Devil Hills?
Well, what were they supposed to do with it? Well,
Are they
I don't
supposed
know
Well,
to are they supposed to bury it?
yeah,
Did they
exactly.
not do that? I'm pretty sure they did that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
That needs some more looking into. I don't believe anybody just loaded the stuff straight on a boat to China. I think that's all
no.
cleared
All
off.
the debris was searched through, but they could
Yeah,
only find like fucking small fragments of bone and fucking
right.
Well, why
skin
would
and
it go to
shit.
China in the first place?
Because America is in the business of making money. What is it? What is it going to do? Fucking just
What
build
do you
a
mean? There's a ton of
build.
scrap weight there. So they just ship it off to China? I mean,
They're not interested in like helping
Our
calm the nerves of conspiracy theorists, man. It just
well,
it's not about that.
it's really that simple.
our steel industry, our
The
mini,
the steel isn't like holy, so it's like, oh, we got to build a freedom tower out of this.
our
No,
our mini mills are not running at capacity, fellas. Our steel industry is way down and has been for 25 or 30 years.
are you saying they could have used that still?
Oh God, yeah.
Hmm.
Well, if you yeah,
If our steel industry was up, like Big Blue is saying, but they destroyed all of our freaking manufacturing in this country. So I mean,
yeah, and that's why we export and mainly import, right?
no, we still have operating mini mills and uh, quite a few places, but nothing like we once had. And that's the kind of stuff that goes to what's called a mini mill, where they take scrap and
yeah, American steel costs a fortune. Who said that? He said that on chat. That's because its purity is much better than what comes from China. The
Jun-
steel that comes from China is like pot metal steel. It's garbage.
yeah, be careful. They're getting a lot better at it.
Yep.
Junior said there's a theory that no plane struck the Pentagon. What do y'all think about that?
Well,
I think it's ridiculous.
I, I do too, because people saw it. Number one,
Yeah,
and
and
actually, I saw a replay of that. There's that one. Unfortunately, only that one security camera view that you see.
mhm.
From that little convenience store or whatever.
No, it's actually there on the.
No,
It's like
it's the DoD camera,
Oh,
but
gotcha.
it's just shit. It's back in 2001.
But if somebody finally analyzed that thing, and there is one frame of that where you can see the tail fin of that 767.
Yeah, I mean,
It,
there's pieces of the fucking plane on the ground
yeah.
in front of it. Like, what did they do? Oh, of course, since they orchestrated that, so they had guys just throwing fucking pieces of plane on the lawn. Like, get the fuck, come on. Like,
I'll,
how? It's the
I'll,
same thing with you talk about the fucking passport. Guess what? The fucking plane was going over 500 fucking miles an hour,
Yeah.
and it basically almost went through the fucking World Trade Center. So yeah, shit and debris and an engine, all sorts of shit is gonna fly out.
Well,
And
the
some
one,
stuff it will be preserved. Some shit, most of the shit will be fucking completely destroyed.
well, the one thing you will notice about that one series of pictures is that enormous fireball that comes up, and anyone that has been around military
Yeah, that
explosives
doesn't.
before will tell you that you don't see that great big gasoline kerosene.
No.
Like,
That's movie
like fire,
shit.
that's movie exactly.
Yeah,
That's not what a high explosive ordnance looks like.
big
It doesn't look like
explosives.
that.
I'll let you know. It's just it's a flash, quick
Big flash.
flash, and loud as fuck.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
the
I
same
don't-
thing with those demolitions. Like you can bring up a demolition and show me how it looks like the World Trade Center 7 or the fucking World Trade Center itself. There's no fucking demo that happens like it. You literally see like the little explosions because they
I
have to
think
put
it's
because they have to cut in.
just
They have to
piss poor reporting, and that's where all the conspiracies come from.
I think so. I think so.
What do y'all
Like I
think
say,
about?
anything's possible, I suppose.
Well, that and just a lack of knowledge on certain things. 'Cause when they say controlled demolition, it's like, do you understand like what it takes to fucking set up a building for demolition like that? It's ridiculous. Like you literally have to cut into fucking I-beams, put fucking explosives. It's just
They weaken the shit out of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't
time.
have to melt
they
it.
literally cut into it.
Well, they have to. Well,
Yeah.
they don't have to,
To
but
put those shape.
if they
to
don't,
put
it
those,
would take enormous amounts of shape
Yeah.
charge to cut some
Yeah.
of that steel. I mean, you're talking about wide flanges with flange thicknesses of 2 inches or better.
so when like the office workers like, oh, so they're just cutting into I-beams while these people are working.
Somebody's going to notice something.
Come on, come on.
I would
Like
think somebody's
you,
gonna
at least you. I mean, now a remote control plane maybe, but I just think no. It's just ridiculous.
I hear you. What do
Oh,
y'all
yeah.
think about what?
Because you literally think like thousands of people that are in government that would be involved in this conspiracy. Not one has come forward and said, look at this. And this is the digital age. All you have to do is put all those documents onto a fucking thumb drive, and then boom, you just show like how everybody's, it just doesn't. It's just not that easy,
What were you going to say, Daryl?
What do y'all think about Agent Globehead? He says the strangest thing to me is how fast they found the culprits, and the official investigation wasn't as big as I would think it should for an event that big. What do y'all say?
Well, there's another deal too.
They had to
I
check into
mean,
the fucking airport. What do you think? I mean,
all airlines, all aircraft are shut down, and there's something about some Saudis being flown out right after that. I mean, some high level Saudis.
yeah, it's not exactly like fucking. It doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to be like, okay, planes at the World Trade Center. Which fucking planes were there? Look at the manifest. Boom. Oh, there's these Arabs, and then you look, and the FBI does a fucking background check on them. Boom. They know exactly where they're from, how long they've been in the States. Da 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 da. It's easy. Now, if they were to do a truck bombing, like like in 1993, it would take a little while for them to find out who it was.
Well,
Well, they found out who Timothy McVeigh was pretty quick.
yeah,
Yeah,
took
of course.
less than 2 days to figure him out. But
Yeah, but it wasn't instant.
I don't recall that I'm sure that they came up with the names of those guys pretty quickly, but I don't remember how fast. I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's
I'll
just
tell you
really
how
not that hard when you think about
Let me
it.
tell you something. I'll tell you how fast I came up with who was behind all of it. It took me all of 10 seconds to say that's Osama
Yeah.
bin Laden.
Yeah. I knew it was going to be Arab terrorists from Sunni origin. Easy.
Well, look, bin Laden tried to take the trade centers down in the mid '90s with a
Yep.
truck bomb.
Yeah.
Really?
I think it was 93. Yeah.
Well, it was 94, 95, but yeah. And when that didn't get our attention, what did he do? He blew up two of our embassies within 10 minutes of each other. And when that didn't satisfy him, then 9/11 happened.
Oh no, it was. I mean, according to the Google, it says 1993, but it doesn't matter. It was the 90s, of course.
Have you
Yeah.
seen that crazy
Well, Google's wrong
conspiracy? That crazy conspiracy video where they morph Obama's face into Bin Laden's face. That's,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
look
sick.
how far people will go to create something. You know,
That's just sick. But there's a lot of sick bastards out there with nothing else to do.
Junior said those buildings had an outer skin and an inner core. Both structures needed each other to remain standing. Compromise when in boat fall. Not talking about the Twin Towers, I'm talking about Building 7. How far down to the basements were the towers? Who knows how bad it shook the foundation of 7.
Well, not only the main thing was debris fucked that building up to the point where it collapsed. It just doesn't look that way because you're only seeing one side of it. You're not seeing the other side. If there was fucking camera crew on the other side of Building 7, you would have seen the fucking damage. You don't. So
Wow.
therefore, people just come up with all these crazy fucking conclusions.
I have seen video from two vantage points on it.
On the towers?
Oh no, on Building 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a huge fucking hole, or like a huge gash taken out of it, like over 20 fucking stories. I just can't. It's hard to fucking find online though.
You can clearly see that big structure on top of it come down about 5 or 6 seconds. The internal the failure started inside. It was internal. And that just brought everything down. A progressive collapse, they call it.
yeah, flat earthers seem to be huge conspiracy theorists and think that everybody's out to hide something from them.
Well, it has to be in that worldview, and they even deny to the amount of people who have to take, which is just hilarious to me. Or it's just
You talking about for the
million-
flat Earth, all the people it would take to
the million, like the tens of millions of fucking just agents and and just in on it, and then they're like so fucking loyal. They're more loyal than any people that have ever fucking lived on this face of the earth. You know, it's like it just doesn't exist, man. Unless they're fucking robots, you know, unless they're like some sort of like controlled robots, like I don't know. There's just no way. We don't have that fucking technology, man.
Well, I think it sort of depends on what you want to believe. I mean, I've heard all these stories for years now, with the conspiracy types, saying, "Oh, no building's ever had a fire and collapse like that." I just saw one the other day. Somebody came up with a video, and I can't remember where. I'm gonna find that thing, but it's a high-rise building someplace over in Asia on fire, and the damn thing collapses just like Building 7 did.
You remember how tall it was?
Oh, it looked to me to be 25 or 30 stories anyway.
And like fire,
Building 7 was like 50 stories, I think. But
yeah, it's pretty big
it's
building,
big.
but
Huge.
yeah, fire will weaken. It doesn't have to like fuck up the I beams, you know. these most people don't even know what the floors are made out of, like the World Trade Center.
The Mies King said, "This is sad, buddy. I don't understand how anyone could believe the official narrative of 9/11."
Well, he doesn't believe anything though. That's
Well,
he thinks every fucking thing on this planet is conspiracy except for whatever he's doing in his house.
that type of structural steel is typically something like A36, 36,000 PSI steel. And no, it does. You don't have to melt it to have it fail.
Yeah,
It's
it just has to
stressed.
be weakened.
It's stressed at 66% of its yield strength to begin with, but all you got to do is get it up to 11 or 1200 degrees, and it's gone. It will not handle temperatures much more than that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing this like video of a blacksmith demonstrating that type of shit. He's like talking shit about the conspiracy. I'm gonna try to find it. Like bends this fucking metal bar with his pinky or some shit.
Oh yeah, all you got to do is get it to dull red, and you can bend it around.
It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to melt.
Shit, nowhere close.
If you
Yeah.
make it bright yellow, it's nice and easy. I like messing with wrought iron.
Yeah.
Get much better around anymore.
Well, the other thing all that mess did was it destroyed the whole sprinkler system. They didn't have any water for that building. So,
Hold on. What destroyed it? You saying the plane destroyed the sprinkler system, or it was destroyed
well,
before that?
No, the collapse of the towers destroyed the sprinkler system for Building 7. There were no sprinklers operating.
I got you. That's interesting.
So, that was at least what I read in part of the official report that I read. I haven't read the whole thing.
Basically, the collapse of the towers destroyed the sprinkler system in Building 7.
Yeah, destroyed. Yeah, how that happened, I don't know, Daryl, but that's what I read. That none of the sprinklers were operational because of all the damage that the collapse of the towers caused.
Loss of water pressure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I got that video up, or I pasted the link for it.
The undying. So it says the undying 9/11 jet fuel, the undying 9/11 moronic jet fuel argument. This is for jet fuel collapse or against jet fuel collapse.
This is for.
Okay, one moment here. I'll play it. So this is a video from.
This is a blacksmith, basically.
Okay. One moment. There we go. There's a video from Loken. The guy basically saying that jet fuel did cause the buildings to fall, correct?
Yeah, it just has to weaken the structure.
Okay.
Those floors are made out of, I think, like 3 feet of concrete each. Think about the amount of weight that's involved.
I got you.
And that's saying something. Through my Facebook feed, I saw yet again that old tired argument, that question. Jet fuel only burns at 1,500 degrees, and since steel melts at 2,700 degrees, 9/11 was a conspiracy. I am so sick and tired of this argument. Now, I am not.
He's talking about they're saying jet fuel burns at 1,500, steel melts at 2,700. So he's tired of that argument.
If it was conspiracy, I do not care. What I am upset about is the retarded metallurgical things that you guys are saying. I'm not arguing the facts.
Metallurgical
Jet
things.
fuel does in fact burn at 1,500 degrees. Steel will start melting, some carbon steels, at 2,300 degrees. But if you hold this up as a reason for conspiracy, you are an idiot. This is a piece
I
of
imagine he's going to heat that up to 2,700 to
836
1,300 or
structural
something.
steel designed for structure.
So you're saying that's structural
This is
steel
a
right there.
250-pound anvil.
And that's an
I'm
anvil.
going to put this steel in the back of this anvil, and I'm going to lift this 250-pound anvil with this bar of steel. Do you see how the structural steel is supporting this anvil? Okay. There.
So you showed how he can lift that anvil with that
in my
steel.
furnace, I have an identical
That's a nice
piece of half-inch bar of
It's probably
steel,
about a
just like
$1,500
this,
anvil.
and it's going to be around 1,800 degrees, just 300 more
He's
than
about to
jet
bring out a
fuel
bar of
when it
steel
comes
at
out.
800
And I
degrees.
want you to see something
1,800
very
degrees.
interesting. Going to the
You
forge.
said is what related
Now
to jet fuel? Hold on,
Now
I'm
watch
trying to-
this.
When it comes out, and I want you to see something very interesting. Going to the forge. Just 300 more than jet fuel.
So he's saying
when
it's
it
300
comes
more
out.
than jet
And I
fuel.
want you to see something very interesting. Going to the forge. It's very hot, but not melted. Obviously, it is not melted. I put this in the anvil. Now watch this. I'm going to take my pinky finger. My
it just
pinky
takes his
finger,
With one finger, yeah. Okay.
half-inch
See?
solid steel.
It could have
Imagine
been
all the
hell of a
weight
Check it
that
out.
all
It's
those
a
stories.
freaking noodle. Your argument is invalid. Get over it.
Yeah.
Find a job.
That's funny.
I hear. So what do you have to say about your video, Logan?
No, it's just one demonstration. That of course, it doesn't have to get red hot like that for it to weaken enough for the fucking incredible amount of weight on top of where the fucking plane hit for it to just collapse in on itself. And that's what fucking happened.
You said it doesn't have to
No,
be
no,
what to collapse
no,
on itself?
no demolition needed.
You said it doesn't have to be molten hot to collapse in on itself.
No, it doesn't have to be molten or red hot. It just has to be weakened enough to where the weight and it just gives.
Do you know how high the Twin Towers were?
I think 110 stories.
And I remember right, the planes hit at like 90 or 100, something like that, right?
Yeah, so we're talking a shit ton of weight.
Can you let me
Consider
know how the heat from like 90 or 100 stories softened the steel at like 30, 40, 50 stories? Because the whole thing collapsed. It didn't just collapse at the top.
and
It
you have
collapsed.
and you have to understand it wasn't just the heat. There was a huge kinetic event when a giant fucking plane made out of aircraft aluminum flew into that motherfucker. I mean, Blue
Well,
would
is
be
all it
better to
takes
talk
is
about
one.
this.
All it
Like
takes is
it's
one floor to
we're not
collapse.
we're
and
not
that,
talking about a piece of paper mache fucking flying into a building. Like this is a big fucking plane
Can I
flying
I hear
in.
you, man.
Quick, go
can I
ahead.
can I
You're more
present
qualified.
something? I'd like to present something, Daryl,
Okay, do your
if
thing.
I can. Let's see. A window. What window? This window. Let's see if this is the right window. Um, can you guys see that chart?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I just pulled up just for shits and grins. Engineering toolbox.
Nice.
This green on this graph is structural steel, right there, green. The green. This is the green line. The structural steel is kind of funny stuff.
Okay.
Here's temperature, degrees Fahrenheit. Here's strength. Okay, 100% yield strength is right there. So at first, when steel heats up, it actually gets stronger to a point. Okay,
Okay.
that's 400 degrees Fahrenheit. A little more than that is where it hits the peak. Then it starts to fall off pretty rapidly. We're back to 100% of its yield strength at around 700 degrees Fahrenheit,
Okay.
something like that.
And you're talking about
When
the
you get
green line, right?
Yeah, the green line. When you
Okay.
get to 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, that steel has 40% of its strength.
Okay.
Only 40%. And at 1,100, where this graph stops, you're down at about 30%. So that's the characteristics of steel, fellas. And this is why you don't have to be anywhere near melting. You don't even have to be red hot. You just have to be in the 1,000, 1,100 degree range. And that is more than enough to cause the building to collapse.
I hear you, man.
More than enough. So a lot of our armchair engineers out there say, oh, it had to be 1,800 degrees. No, fuck, no, it doesn't. It's only got to be
No.
1,000 degrees. Less than that, actually.
Yeah.
That steel could have been designed at that level right about there, 66% or so. At 800 degrees, it would be close to failing. 900 degrees, it would fail if it was fully stressed.
So your precision,
No.
Big Blue, is that the collapse was because of the heat from the fires and stuff.
I'm saying it's completely plausible that the fires caused it. Yes, I'm not saying that's what did it, but I'm just saying that that's a very plausible explanation.
Yeah,
I hear you, man.
and plus the kinetic energy that was unleashed on that fucking building when the plane rammed into that motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
And Maxwell, what is your general position on it?
well, just the same thing. I mean, it's all it really takes is for one of those floors to collapse on top of another one, and that's the end of it.
Uh-oh. I hear you, man. Well, I appreciate y'all sharing your positions on it. Let me take a look at and see what the chat say. And it seems like Enhanced X is agreeing with y'all. These saying soft furnishings with foam cushions burn at thousands of degrees very quickly. It's probably many different factors.
Well, I don't think it's a simple problem, to try to analyze for sure.
And enhanced sex is saying jet fuel would have leaked through the cracked infrastructure, so that would have basically when the jet fuel leaked through the infrastructure, it would have hit the lower structures as well, and then caught on fire and weakened those structures as well. Is that what you're saying? Enhanced X.
Yeah, just imagine the fuel to the fire, the oxygen from that altitude blowing into the building. I mean, it would be like a torch ready to go up.
I gotcha. Something like blowing, like when you have like something lit and you're blowing it to make the flame get higher.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you're at that altitude, the wind is, it's very noticeable.
You got a lot of combustible material inside those buildings. I mean, that's what all the furnishings and carpets and stuff, a lot of stuff in there to burn other than just the jet fuel.
Yep.
So to make sure I'm understanding properly,
Shit on a paper.
your position as far as the plane is that people really did hijack the plane, and the hijacked plane with the people in the plane is the one that really hit the trace in the buildings,
Yeah.
right? Is that the
Yeah, I
consensus
mean,
amongst all y'all?
yeah, and don't get me wrong, like fucking the government does some shady shit, but there's there's just levels to it, and it usually doesn't happen against its own citizens. And if it were, I guarantee you there would be a leak. You know, I highly recommend reading fucking the Doomsday Machine, Confessions of a Nuclear War Planner, or the Pentagon Papers, or one of these huge fucking leaks back in the day.
Mhm.
It's really telling. Like, yeah, like, do we do some fucking real crazy shit? Fuck yeah. But usually it's not directed at our own citizens, Have we come up with some crazy fucking plans? Sure. Did we go through with them? No.
So part of your position as well is simply that the government wouldn't, these people wouldn't do that to their own people, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and like not have it leak. That's what I'm trying to say. We're not dealing with fucking robots here that have no emotion or anything like that.
Now, the leaks that you're talking about, like the Pentagon Papers, how long ago were those leaked compared to when the event originally happened?
Decades after. Yeah.
And looking at 9/11, that was in
7,000 classified documents about all the clandestine operations, like how far back the Vietnam War, like the shit was going on in the early 50s before people even knew it. Like, we were involved with the French. People thought the French were just doing that shit on their own,
Mhm.
No. It was a strategic importance that we did not let South Vietnam fall into the hands of the communists, because their doctrine, they truly believed that it would just, like, this is how, like, LBJ and a few others, they're like, if we lose Vietnam, we might as well just fucking pack our bags,
Mhm.
get back, go and they had this Fortress America concept.
And that
just have
stuff is in the
Fortress Am-
Pentagon Papers.
Fuck yeah. It's
And
all.
and when did they come out again?
I think it was the 80s. Let me check. I think it was the 80s.
So that would mean if it started in the 50s,
It's like the guy had to, like, Xerox each fucking page, one by one, and, like, he buried that shit in, like, a dump, and then they found it, like, and they went back to it, decades later.
and that would mean that it took about 30 years for the leak to finally come out if it started in the 50s, right?
Yeah, but we're talking about different times now. Now all you got to do is just upload it to WikiLeaks. It's just so much easier than it was
I
back
see.
then. That's why you have these huge fucking leaks, the recent ones.
Oh, and the hand sex also says flying a plane is nowhere near as hard as people may think. I know one idea is simply that the plane, like a big jumbo jet or whatever, is like too big and langly to actually for a pilot to fly through the city with such precision and hit that building. Um,
Okay,
how,
sorry, yeah, 1971. So never mind. It was actually earlier than 1980s. Okay.
okay, so it came out about 20 years later. Are you a pilot as well in hand sex? I know you're a pilot. You're a pilot, right, Big Blue? Are you a pilot in hand sex?
I mean, and it goes back to 1945 to 1967, and that's
1945 to 1967 is the range between when it started and when the leak
when we
happened.
started being doing having influence in the area.
Hmm.
Like we actually wanted to go in like when the French were having their war in Indochina, but they couldn't get it. So
I hear you, man. Well, I'm fine
yeah, I
agreeing
mean,
to disagree.
don't get me wrong that we do some fucked up shit, but there's just I don't know, just doesn't make sense as well. Like I when I stated, they would have if they really wanted the strategic reserves, they could have got them if they would just blown up both those buildings with semi trucks, underneath the fucking buildings. It would have been just easy. Nobody would have gave a fuck. I mean, most of the people wouldn't give a fuck if we just started carpet bombing, Mecca and all these other places. They wouldn't give a fuck.
Hmm.
And what are they gonna do? Are the people from Indonesia gonna go to the fucking Middle East and fight us after we kill everybody there? No, they ain't gonna do shit.
Hmm. Cool, man.
But I'm glad we're not that fucking ruthless. But at one point we were, World War II.
Talking about
Give a
with
fuck
the
about anybody's feelings.
nuclear bombs.
No, 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 no. Before that, no. Before the nukes even dropped, all it would take was a few hundred B-29 bombers with thermite bombs and incendiary bombs, and it literally just burned everybody.
Yeah, thermite bombs.
Not thermite, sorry, incendiary.
Oh,
Yeah, Matt. Like I think it's
Yeah, we
it's like a
burnt.
phosphorus or some shit like that. It's like it's
Like
shit that burns at like
magnesium.
yeah, it like burns at like thousands of degrees, and
Could be thermite. I mean,
I think I remember
they,
seeing pictures of that, like with the Vietnamese people, especially the kids with burns all over their body. That's the
yeah,
stuff you was talking about.
the general in control was General LeMay. He was in charge of the fucking 8th Air Force.
LeMay was in control of that.
Yeah, he's the one that like fucking started that whole thing, and
Interesting.
he was just like, hey, you know, it's all about ending the war sooner, and that's why the thing is like we need to kill as many people fast as possible,
Well,
and end the war quicker.
have you ever
I think
seen?
if you check, you'll find out that the area bombing campaign didn't really start with Curtis LeMay. It started with a guy named Bomber Harris, who was
No, I know. I'm talking about the
who was
fire bombings
Hmm.
of Japan, the mainland.
okay. Yeah, the firebombing
Yeah.
in Japan. I'm not sure LeMay ever had anything to do with it. He was in Europe.
Daryl, have you ever seen
Maybe
how
though.
they
Could have been.
repair a railroad track?
How they repair a railroad track?
Yeah, have you ever seen that?
No, I have not.
That's pretty interesting. You should look it up. It's pretty crazy.
How is it related?
Well, because it's just a couple simple off-the-shelf chemicals that you can get, and it melts steel.
Hmm. Oh, what's going on, Jose? Jose
Oh,
says
it's
Asians and actors everywhere are Aristarchus. So in other words, they take regular household products and they use these, not household, but regular products anybody can buy, and they use those on the railroad tracks to, I guess, mend damage in them so that it's smoothed out again, for instance.
Well, I'm pretty sure that they're regulated nowadays, but yeah, before I
Hmm.
mean, it's not regular. You can't if you go out and buy, mass quantities of it, you're going to raise a flag,
I got you.
obviously.
I'm probably wrong about LeMay. He probably wasn't involved in the Japanese side of it too.
No, he was.
Okay.
Yeah. It says, I mean, according to
Yeah.
what I've read and what's online, but
That's
no, he was a
interesting
big.
because there's this guy named David Adair who doesn't really speak now, but years ago he did, and he built this super advanced rocket. Maybe some of y'all heard me speaking about him on one of my ET show talks, extraterrestrial show talks. But when they took him to Area 51 to try to get him to work on that rocket and at least that engine, and he didn't want to do it because they was hiding the alien technology. They was going to keep him there, and he said LeMay came and got him out. So apparently, LeMay was like a family friend or some kind of way. He knew that his family or somebody in his family knew that general, and he's the one who came and got him out of Area 51 uh, to not be locked in there forever, basically. So quite interesting.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
what
it's like, yeah, when he fucking hit Tokyo on March 9th, it said it was like the deadliest air raid in history.
and LeMay
Oh
was
yeah.
over that air raid.
I mean, he was commanding it. Like he only went on like some missions, and he would be like in the front bomber, you know, to show that like yeah he's willing to die because they would fly in like really close formation instead of like back in the day, like back before that, once they encountered like a flak anti-aircraft from the ground,
Hmm.
everybody just start like peeling off and fucking just dropping their bomb load fucking wherever.
Really?
And he was just like, no, nobody fucking, evades shit. You just stay in formation. If you evade, you're gonna get court-martialed when you get back. So
Hmm. So some of them it was death or court martial, huh? Well, the ones that happen to get hit.
yeah.
Reminds me of that story of
Because the bombing, because they learned from like their bombing campaign in Europe how ineffective it was if they weren't, if they're the break formation.
wasn't it effective because it just moved off and hit their targets, or were they still down when they peeled off? Like did they
Yeah,
peel off?
it's hard enough like back then to even bomb a city at night. That's usually when they had to go because it was too dangerous during the day.
That was the
Have
problem.
you ever seen? Have you ever seen that?
All our bombing was done in daylight, and
Yeah, that's why we lost. That's why like the Army Air Corps lost more people than the Marines did in that war.
Yeah, my dad was
Have you
in
ever
the
seen
8th Air Force.
Oh wow.
Have you guys ever seen that? I'm sure you have, that documentary of, when they were trying to create all these like remote control bombs or self-guided missiles, and they had pigeons pecking at a window, or they tried using bats that would carry some
Bat
incendiary
bombs.
device.
Yep, bat bombs.
It's just crazy.
They're gonna let a bunch of bats loose, and they'll go burn down everybody's outhouse or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they figured they'd go in the attics and catch on fire. I think that was for Japan.
I'll tell you a quick story. Looking at my dad was in the 91st Bomb Group. He was in ground operations. He was in England for 3.5 years. And then the 91st is the unit that had the Memphis Belle, and I'm sure everybody's heard of the Memphis Belle. Pretty famous B-17. They made a movie about it. Made several movies about it actually. And in fact, I got to meet all of those guys in a reunion they had in Memphis, Tennessee, in 1965. 20-year reunion for that 8th Air Force, for that 91st Bomb Group. But anyway, to make a long story short, and I may be too late already because it's already a long story. That bomb group took 36 B-17s with them to England in 1942. And they came home in 1945 after losing over 300 airplanes.
Wow.
That's just one bomb group.
Yeah.
They lost every airplane they took over there. times 9.
There's a really good short story about the Memphis. I think it's the Memphis Belle by Stephen King and his short stories.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's the Memphis Belle in that one or not, but it was pretty crazy. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it was one of the few surviving B-17s that completed all its missions. There's another 91st Bomb Group airplane in the Air Force Museum in Dayton called Shoo Shoo Baby.
Didn't they like just limp back on one engine or something? Or
well, there was a good bit of movie bullshit that went on with that movie. It was not like that. No.
What do you mean movie bullshit?
Is it even possible to fly one of those on one engine?
Yeah, it would be, but they made it a lot more dramatic than it really was.
I'm gonna get off at the top of the hour, by the way, guys.
Yeah, it was. So I found it was napalm and white phosphorus combined for Tokyo and a bunch of those other cities.
What they called it?
There's. What do you mean for the incendiary?
Yeah. Did they have a name for it?
Just white phosphorus. It burns at like I think thousands of degrees.
That's horrible, man. I consider that a crime. And this is the image that Logan posted, by the way. This is the damage in Tokyo.
Yeah, that's not from an atom bomb. That's just from, what a couple hundred B-29s can do with the fucking. Yeah, and
that firestorm killed over 100,000 people, I think.
Yeah.
I wonder what Tokyo looks like now. I'm gonna pull up a current Tokyo picture to compare.
It's a pretty impressive city now.
Yeah, damn right it is. They had a lot of frame structures, and it would.
Wasn't everything wood?
Yeah, that's why it was perfect for using incendiaries.
Yep.
I watched a documentary on their construction methods and how they build stuff that they can't. Modern day engineering is trying to understand how ancient Japanese.
You sounded robotic again. You might have to hold for a second.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying. Am I still robotic?
You better now.
I was just saying that I was watching some documentary on how modern engineering was studying ancient Japanese construction methods because the way they build their structures withstands extreme earthquakes and extreme movement.
That's right. I heard there's a lot of earthquakes in Japan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Here's Tokyo today, by the way. Do you think part of that could have been for the construction? Because I heard that part of what they did to Iraq or some of those countries out there was the construction, like basically the military people, like I don't know what, Cheney and people like that, like had construction companies that basically they was able to pay themselves to rebuild what they destroyed. You know what I mean? Y'all think there's something to that?
Yeah, no, that's real. That's the global. That's the
I've
what
seen
they call the war machine.
Yeah,
KBR.
You're gonna find that like they're gonna try to make money on whatever they can, and whenever but the thing is, the damage done to the only city that was really fucked was Fallujah and plus a little bit of Ramadi, but that Baghdad, I mean, it wasn't that bad compared to like previous wars,
Here's a conspiracy for you to look
Still
into,
shit.
Daryl.
Who's up?
What we hear, but
Look into because ISIS was going around destroying all the religious artifacts.
yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, why would they do that?
ISIS?
Yeah, supposedly ISIS. And ISIS, why is it called ISIS? There was an Egyptian goddess or god named Isis.
That's right.
I mean, it's just.
And when you say religious artifacts, like what exactly were they supposed to be destroying?
I didn't really dig into it that much, but yeah, they were just going around destroying all the
Yeah, I mean they'll do that. I mean, like fucking Al Qaeda blew up those Buddhist structures in Afghanistan.
Yeah, that's
Well,
kind
it's
of.
like
They
it's like
you,
hit.
you have to understand, like ISIS was formed out of Al Qaeda in Iraq, and Al Qaeda in Iraq was fucking so radical that even Osama bin Laden was like to Zarqawi, like, hey, you need to fucking calm down. You know, after he cut off fucking Nick Berg's head and put that shit on the internet, it just started. Just
It's just like Hitler's conquest. I mean, he was after religious artifacts.
Hmm.
That's the whole. I mean,
In other words, basically destroying other religions, to decimate the other cultures, basically.
yeah, I mean, they really do believe in that stuff where it is, they will fucking convert everybody or
Mm.
death. And it's just a small group of Muslims, so it's nothing like a lot of these Islamophobes,
That seemed to
you
be in
know.
every single religion, though. Apparently there was the Crusades with Christianity,
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just
in
saying
Islam.
if they, I mean, even if there was just like 1% of the billion plus Muslims that were like radical like that, I mean, the fucking world would be on fire right now. I mean,
You mean if there were at least 1%?
yeah,
I
yeah,
got
just
you.
1% of that over a billion.
there's a speech
It'd just
about
be
that, and there's
ridiculous.
a speech about that some lady gives in the. I'm not sure if it's the White House or at the UN, and she talks about that and gives numbers and says even if it's only 1%, the Muslim population is so astronomical that it would still outweigh the Christian population by an astronomical amount.
Hmm.
I can't give you numbers, but it's on the internet.
Yeah, I know. At least the last time I looked, there's been a few years since I looked, but the last time I looked, I remember Islam was the largest religion on the planet, and I believe Christianity was like third. I guess Catholicism is considered separate. I believe it went Islam, then Catholicism, then Christianity. But it's been a while since I looked into it. What do y'all think the second and the third one is? At least what do y'all remember the second and the third one being?
I think it's Christianity, or I mean, but they include, the Catholics and
Hmm.
all sects,
Hmm.
'cause there's so many denominations. Where Muslims, there's only really two denominations, pretty much.
What, Sunni and Orthodox? Is that
Shia
correct?
and Shia, yeah,
Oh,
Sunni and Shia.
oh.
The Shia is mainly like parts of Lebanon, Iran,
Hmm. And
Yemen, a few other places here and there.
that's
But
interesting.
they're
And Hex
but they're
says the
they're a hell of a
largest
lot more
Muslim is
organized than
Indonesia.
the Sunni.
The Shia is more organized than the Sunni.
Yeah, when you take into like when you look at Hezbollah, like Hezbollah is just amazing. I mean, that would be like the gold standard for a terrorist organization, in my opinion.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's nothing that we that's why like we should be really careful with what we do. As far as Iran attacking them on their soil, because Iran basically controls Hezbollah. It's like a proxy army.
Hmm. You,
And
you,
if they have any cells like in America, it would be really bad
I think
because
it's the reason for that anyway. Why are they picking on Iran? The oil, I guess.
They're just
yeah,
they've
it's just
always been at
contest.
each other's throats over that
Yeah,
too.
yeah, and like there's this strategic area called the Strait of Hormuz, and shit ton of oil travels through that strait, and it's just contested waters. I mean, not really contested, but the Iranians now and again try to flex their muscles, but like they're a joke compared to us, of course.
Hmm.
Like we could destroy their navy in like a day, you know,
I've
or
heard that.
hours actually.
Not even that, yeah,
Yeah,
an hour
hours.
or two.
But they got those
Yeah,
nuclear bombs, though, right? Do they have a nuclear program now?
not yet,
Not
not yet.
anymore.
Not
Yeah,
anymore.
well, that's the thing. Like Israel, like I can guarantee you one thing: like Israel will not stand by and let them develop a nuke. They will attack,
Hmm.
and they will keep
you,
attacking. So,
you
but
remember when like the Iranian scientists were all getting like assassinated back? I don't know. It's probably like
yeah,
15 years ago.
as the Mossad will know
And
what's
that
going on because they have
and
agents that speak perfect Farsi and all that shit.
And that Khan, did you see that thing about that Khan that came over to the United States and learned nuclear physics and then went back over to Iran and started like this huge underground black market and was selling or trading nuclear secrets to China and for their missile technology and the CIA, the intelligence agencies in the United States knew that it was going on, but they didn't. They just let it. They didn't interfere because they thought that they knew everything that they were doing, but apparently they didn't. It's just there's this documentary about it. It's just crazy to know that he had a basically a Kmart or a Walmart operation going on with all these other countries trading information for nuclear technology.
Hmm. Well, cool, guys. What would y'all say? Y'all want to give any? It looks like we went way from the pendulum and the skydiving person to the 9/11. Now we're talking about the religious terrorism, basically. What final words y'all wanna give? Oh, thank you. Junior was saying the religious order of Islam, Catholicism, and Christianity is accurate. They seem to consider Catholicism different from Christianity, when they do the
Yeah, I mean,
ranking.
so a lot of Christians, especially in the U.S., don't consider Catholics Christians.
Hmm. Remember
But
when I used to debate religious people, they was tripped out when they learned that Muslims was the biggest religion, the Christian people. They seem to always think they're the center of everything.
oh yeah, there's Christian propaganda out there, of course, just like almost everything.
But cool, Loken, want to give any final points on anything that we talked about tonight?
Uh, Nothing really. It was just good talking. Yeah, I mean, back in the day, I'd be like fucking just furious
Me as
about
well.
the 9/11 thing,
Yeah,
but
me as well.
I'm just like, yeah. I mean, people die all over the fucking place. I don't know. Yeah, they're my countrymen, but I don't think of any person above anybody else.
Hmm.
So an Afghan is just as important as an American in my eyes, but
I agree.
it's just me.
What do you say, Big Blue? Any final words?
Yeah, I agree with what Loken is saying. I think there's only a very scant handful of troublemakers in the Muslim religion that cause a lot of grief for everybody else,
Hmm.
their side and our side. But I'm starting to think that that's the same thing that goes on with flat Earth. The more I watch this,
Mm.
the more I'm becoming convinced there are really only 66 true flat earthers anywhere on the planet.
Oh my
Half of them
gosh.
have
Oh my gosh.
YouTube.
Why
Half of
you
them
gonna
have
say
YouTube
66?
channels. Oh, I had to have a number, right?
Oh
Half of
no!
them have YouTube channels, and the other half
Don't
sitting in
don't
fucking
don't.
chats just screwing things up.
66.6.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
66.6
Yeah.
flat earthers.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah.
is. I would have said 666, but
That'd be too overstating it
yeah,
too much.
that was getting a little too obvious.
Mm.
So.
What would you say, Maxwell? Any last words?
Yeah, I like your channel, Daryl. I'd rather talk about this stuff than listen to the endless argument about nothing on flat Earth. I mean, it just goes around in circles.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, and I agree. And tomorrow I'll be talking about. I don't know. It don't seem like too many people might be interested in the topic, but I'm still interested in out of body experience. So tomorrow I'll be on at 2 p.m. Central Time, talking about the out of body experience and really the steps along the way. Like a lot of people are not aware of all the different things you experience on the way from a waking state where you are right now, all the way to being in the out of body state. You could experience so many different things. Some of it could really freak you out. So I'll talk about that and both from my own experience and all the research I've done over like decades, all the different things you could experience on your way from being fully conscious physically to being in a non-physical state. And that's why I had my update right there says that topic. I was getting the update ready for tomorrow before I happen to come on and do this extra event. So thank y'all for listening. And remember, if you're interested in the out-of-body experience, go ahead and I'll start doing a class whenever I get like about 20 people signed up. If I ever get that many, I'll start doing a class in the future to see if anybody wanna learn, and that'll help motivate me to practice more too. So like, subscribe, chat, and make some comments. And I'll be back and see everybody tomorrow, whoever wants to show up.
Take it easy.
All right, y'all. Y'all be cool.
See you, Daryl. Have a good evening.
Peace.